Welcome to the Deep Dive, the show where we take your sources, a stack of them usually, and really unpack the key bits of knowledge just for you.
Looking forward to it.
Today, we're diving deep into something you've probably seen, well, everywhere lately. It's apple cider vinegar.
Yes, ACV.
Huh?
It's definitely made that leap, hasn't it? From, old home remedy to this huge wellness trend. Everyone seems to be talking about it.
They really are. And you sent us some great info, mainly drawing from a Healthline article looking into all the health claims.
That's right.
So our mission today is to dig into that source material and figure out, okay, what does the science actually say? Is the hype real?
Yeah, what are the real potential benefits, according to the research they highlighted?
Exactly. We'll unpack the findings, the sometimes surprising ones, and also the really important warnings so you can get a clear picture. Let's get started.
Okay, so first up, what exactly is apple cider vinegar? I mean, at its core.
Good question.
It really comes down to acetic acid. That's the stuff, that gives vinegar that really strong sour smell and taste.
Oh, yeah, that tang. Unmistakable.
Precisely. And researchers generally think this acetic acid is, well, probably responsible for a lot of the potential health benefits people talk about.
How much is usually in there?
Most cider vinegars, they contain about 5% acetic acid.
Okay. And what about the mother? You always hear about that. The murky stuff floating in the bottle. Is that the magic ingredient?
Right, the mother. It looks like, well, murky strands. It's usually in organic, unfiltered ACV.
So what is it?
It's basically a colony of bacteria and yeast. The friendly kind, actually. They're what turn the alcohol into acetic acid during fermentation. So it's proteins, enzymes, good bacteria.
And lots of people think that's the key part for health benefits, right?
They do. There's a strong belief around that. But, and this is interesting, the source material you sent points out something important.
What's that?
Currently, there are no studies that specifically prove the mother itself is responsible for most of the health benefits.
Huh. So it's a belief, but the science isn't quite there to back it up yet.
Exactly. It's visually different, sure. But scientifically speaking, the acetic acid seems to be the main player based on current research cited.
Interesting. Okay, so scientifically, it's mostly about the acid. Does ACV give you much else, like vitamins, minerals?
Not really, no. The source is pretty clear. It doesn't have significant amounts. Some quality brands might have tiny traces of amino acids, maybe some antioxidants.
But you shouldn't rely on it for nutrients.
Definitely not. Not a primary source.
Got it. So acetic acid is the star, the mother is maybe scientifically, and it's not a vitamin pill. Let's talk uses. One of the oldest is killing germs, right? Antimicrobial. What did the article say there?
Yeah, this is where ACV has, deep historical roots. Vinegar has been used for ages for cleaning, disinfecting, even treating things like nail fungus, lice, warts, maybe some ear infections.
Way back, you mean? Like ancient history?
Absolutely. The article mentions Hippocrates, the father of modern medicine. Apparently, he used vinegar to clean wounds. We're talking over 2,000 years ago.
Wow. That's a long track record.
It really is. It shows people recognized its germ-fighting potential very early on.
And not just for cleaning wounds.
No, also as a food preservative. The research mentioned in the article shows it can stop harmful bacteria like E. coli from growing in food, helps stop spoilage.
Okay, so its ability to kill harmful bacteria, especially for external use or preserving food, seems pretty well established then, historically and scientifically.
That seems fair to say, based on the source.
All right, moving on. The article you sent calls the impact on blood sugar and diabetes one of the most convincing uses. That sounds like a pretty strong claim. Why?
It is a big statement. This potential benefit is really relevant for people with type 2 diabetes. That's the condition where blood sugar levels are consistently high, often because of insulin resistance or the body not making enough insulin.
And it's not just for people with diabetes, is it? Keeping blood sugar steady.
That's a really key point from the source and important for you listening. The idea is that high blood sugar, even if you don't have diabetes, is thought to play a role in aging and various chronic diseases. So keeping levels in a healthy range is generally good for everyone.
Makes sense. So what specific research did your source mention about ACV and blood sugar?
Well, it referenced a clinical trial from 2019. This suggested some beneficial effects on things like the glycemic index and oxidative stress for folks with diabetes and related issues like dyslipidemia.
Okay.
And then there was a 2021 review looking at several clinical trials together. It found that ACV consumption may benefit glycemic status in adults.
May benefit. So, sounds promising, especially for managing blood sugar.
It does sound promising, and that's probably why the source flags it as convincing.
Hmm.
But, and this is a really crucial point, the article makes sure to hit These findings need caution,
Meaning?
meaning we definitely need more extensive, really rigorous studies to confirm these effects for sure. It's not case closed yet.
So it's promising, definitely, but it's not like a proven cure or a replacement for medical treatment.
Absolutely not. And the article includes a strong warning from the NCCIH, that's the National Centers for Complementary and Integrative Health.
What's the warning?
They advise very clearly not to swap out your prescribed medical treatment for something like diabetes with unproven products like ACV. Your doctor's treatment plan is #1.
That's vital advice. What about safety? Taking ACV, especially with blood sugar meds.
Good question. The article notes that while ACV is generally seen as safe, if you are taking medications that lower blood sugar, you absolutely must talk to your doctor before you start taking more ACV.
Why is that?
Because there's a potential interaction. It could possibly make your blood sugar drop too low.
Okay, so safety first, doctor consultation is key. Got it. Let's shift gears now from blood sugar to another really popular topic, weight loss. What did the source find here?
All right, another big one. And there are some interesting findings here, too, maybe a bit more mixed compared to blood sugar. The article does point to studies suggesting vinegar could help with weight loss.
How? What's the idea behind how it might work?
The main theory is about feeling full satiety. The idea is ACV might help you feel fuller after eating.
And if you feel fuller?
You might naturally eat fewer calories overall, maybe snack less, which over time could lead to weight loss.
Did the source mention specific studies on this?
Yes, it did. It mentioned one review that looked at short-term studies. In those, having ACV with a solid meal seemed to suppress appetite for about 120 minutes after eating.
2 hours. Okay.
And participants also tended to snack less for the next 3 to 24 hours, so potentially a short-term effect on appetite.
Okay, interesting for the short term. But does it last? What about longer studies?
This is where that very same review found something different. When they looked at longer-term studies, they found no significant link between taking ACV and appetite suppression.
So maybe the effect wears off, or it wasn't strong enough in those longer studies.
That seems to be the takeaway. A classic research situation, right? Short-term promise, but doesn't always hold up over the long haul in some reviews.
Is that the full picture from the source on weight loss?
Not quite. The article also brought up a more recent study, a 2024 randomized control trial, which actually showed more significant results.
Oh, what did that find?
This trial reported pretty substantial reductions in weight. They said an average of 6 to 8 kilograms.
Wow, 6 to 8 kilos. That's like 13 to 17 pounds.
Yeah, significant. And also improvements in body fat ratio, waist and hip measurements, BMI, and positive changes in blood sugar, fats, and cholesterol levels, too.
How much ACV were they taking?
It was 3 doses of 15 milliliters. That's about a tablespoon each every day for 12 weeks.
Okay, 12 weeks, 3 tablespoons a day. That's a pretty striking result compared to the review you mentioned earlier.
It is a notable finding presented in the source. But predictably, the article immediately adds the usual caution. Larger studies are recommended to really verify these specific findings.
Right. So again, some promising recent data, but needs more backing. The picture is still, developing.
Definitely seems like an area where research is ongoing.
Let's move on to heart health. Obviously a huge concern for so many people. Does the source suggest ACV can help protect your heart?
Yeah, it's a critical area, heart disease being a leading cause of death. The thinking is that maybe vinegar could improve some of the biological factors, the markers, linked to heart disease risk.
What did the research in your source actually show?
Okay, here the article makes a really important point right away. A lot of the studies looking at ACV and heart benefits, they were done in animals.
Ah, not humans.
Right. And as we know, animal study results don't always mean the same thing will happen in people. It's a big limitation.
So that's a major caveat from the start. Need to be careful interpreting those.
Exactly. Huge caution flag. The source mentioned one review from 2020, which included both human and animal studies. It noted ACV may potentially benefit levels of HDL, that's the good cholesterol, and LDL, the bad one, plus triglycerides and total cholesterol.
Okay, may potentially. What about human-only studies?
There was another review mentioned from 2021 focusing just on human trials. It found ACV may benefit total cholesterol levels.
Again, with the may benefit or may potentially, it sounds like researchers aren't totally convinced yet.
And that's exactly why. Both reviews highlighted limitations, specifically. The quality and the size of the available human research just isn't strong enough yet.
So the conclusion from the source?
Pretty clear. Researchers need more and better human studies before they can make any strong claims about ACV helping heart health markers.
More research needed. That seems to be the refrain for nailing down these benefits, doesn't it?
It really does.
Okay, what about skin health? You see ACV in tons of DIY skin recipes online.
Oh yeah, it's very common as a home remedy, especially for things like dry skin or eczema.
What's the logic behind putting it on your skin?
The theory is about pH balance. Healthy skin is naturally a bit acidic. But with conditions like eczema, the skin can become less acidic. So the idea is that applying diluted topical ACV might help rebalance that pH, maybe improve the skin barrier.
Sounds logical in theory. Does the research discussed in the article back this up?
Well, this is another area where the source points out a disconnect. It says the research doesn't really support this theory,
Ooh.
and more importantly, it actually warns that using ACV on the skin can cause irritation for some people, especially if you already have skin issues like eczema.
So the benefit is theoretical, but the irritation risk is real, according to this source material.
That's the main takeaway, and the article includes a really critical safety warning here, one that you absolutely need to pay attention to if you're thinking about this.
What's the warning?
Always talk to your doctor before trying new things on your skin, particularly if the skin is damaged or broken. And never, ever put undiluted vinegar straight on your skin because it can cause chemical burns.
Yeah.
Seriously, that's a major caution.
Wow. Okay, extremely important warning there. Thanks for flagging that so clearly. So if someone does want to try ACV, maybe for those potential blood sugar benefits or just in cooking, what's the suggested dose and how should they use it based on the source?
Well, the easiest ways are probably just using it in food, like in salad dressings, vinaigrettes, maybe homemade mayo.
Simple enough and tasty.
Right. For people thinking about internal benefits, drinking it is common. The source suggests a typical dosage range starting small, maybe 1 to 2 teaspoons, that's 5 to 10 milliliters.
And then potentially increasing.
Potentially up to maybe 1 to 2 tablespoons, which is 15 to 30 milliliters per day.
And the absolute key thing is
Dilution. You absolutely must mix it in a large glass of water. Starting small, staying within that range, and definitely diluting it is crucial.
why so crucial? What happens if you take too much or don't dilute?
Well, the article lists several potential side effects. Things like indigestion. It could potentially lower your potassium levels over time. And a big one is eroding tooth enamel because it's so acidic.
Ouch.
Yeah. And if you take it undiluted or in really large amounts, it can actually cause burns in your throat.
Okay, that sounds serious.
It can be.
Oh.
Now, the source does add a bit of reassurance. It says the standard daily dose, like 1-2 tablespoons diluted properly, is probably not going to lead to these severe problems. But still, moderation and dilution are absolutely essential.
Right. Protect your teeth, protect your throat. Makes total sense. Did the source say anything about whether you should choose the organic, unfiltered kind with the mother for drinking?
It did mention that some dietitians recommend using the organic, unfiltered ACV with the mother.
Even though the science isn't quite there on the mother itself being the key.
Correct. It's a recommendation some make, despite the lack of specific scientific proof for the mother's role, as noted in the article.
Okay. Before we wrap this up, let's hit a couple of common questions the source touched on. We mentioned side effects, but just to summarize, what are the main potential downsides you should know about, according to the article?
Okay, so besides the skin irritation risk, if used topically, drinking, it can cause indigestion for some. There's the potential long-term issue of lowering potassium, definitely the tooth enamel erosion, and the risk of throat burns if it's not diluted or you take way too much, plus potential interactions with certain meds like diuretics and some diabetes drugs.
But again, the standard diluted dose is generally thought to be okay.
Generally considered unlikely to cause the severe issues, yes, but caution is still needed.
What about timing? Does it matter if you take it in the morning versus at night? People always ask that.
Yeah, it's a common question. The article actually points out there's basically no research comparing benefits based on time of day.
So science doesn't have an answer.
Not really. Morning versus night, no clear winner scientifically. But the source does offer some practical advice. If you do take it at night, try to have it at least 2-3 hours before you go to bed, just to potentially avoid issues like indigestion or acid reflux when you lie down.
Just common sense for comfort then.
Pretty much.
And lastly, ACV gummies. They are so popular right now. Does the source say they give you the same benefits as the liquid?
Right, the gummies. According to the article, they might potentially offer some of the same benefits you'd get from a small amount of liquid ACV. It mentions possible positive effects on cholesterol and blood sugar,
Anything else?
Some gummies also add other vitamins or minerals, which could be seen as a bonus for some people.
Okay, but is there a catch? Usually seems to be with gummies.
There is a pretty big but here, yeah. And it's important. The source clearly states there's no solid evidence proving that ACV gummies give you the exact same benefits as drinking the liquid vinegar.
Ah, so maybe not equivalent.
Maybe not. And another really critical point. Many gummies contain added sugar.
Which could defeat the purpose, right? Especially for blood sugar.
Exactly. If you're taking ACV hoping for blood sugar benefits, adding sugar in gummy form could completely counteract that effect. You really need to check the label.
That is a super important point for anyone considering gummies. Always read that ingredients list.
Absolutely critical.
Okay, so let's try and pull this all together. The bottom line from the source material you shared. After this whole deep dive, what's the overall verdict on apple cider vinegar's health benefits?
Well, the article kind of sums it up like this. Many of the really big, extraordinary claims you hear, like ACV is some kind of miracle cure-all or massive energy booster, they just don't have strong research backing them up right now.
But it's not all hype.
Not entirely. The source suggests some studies do point to potential benefits. The areas with maybe the most support or at least promising recent findings seem to be its historical use against microbes, potential positive effects on lowering blood sugar, and some interesting, though maybe mixed findings about helping with weight loss.
But always with that big asterisk that we need more, better, bigger human studies to really confirm these things properly. The science is still playing catch-up.
That's the consistent message, yes. The need for more rigorous research is emphasized throughout the source material.
And what about safety for people thinking of trying it?
The source suggests that diluted ACV seems pretty safe when you take it in moderation. Stick to those recommended doses, like 1-2 tablespoons diluted in water daily. Avoiding excessive amounts is really the key to steering clear of those potential side effects.
Makes sense. And the article did briefly mention other non-health uses too, right?
It did, yeah. It's pretty versatile stuff. Beyond drinking it, it gets used as a natural hair conditioner, potentially for skincare, but with those big cautions we talked about.
Yeah.
And as a household cleaning agent, too.
It really feels like apple cider vinegar sits in this interesting spot. It's got these ancient roots in traditional practice stretching back thousands of years.
Right.
And now modern science is sort of circling back, trying to test and understand those old uses with today's methods.
It really highlights that common tension, doesn't it, between these long-standing traditional remedies that people swear by and the scientific method needing that hard, repeatable evidence.
It absolutely does. And maybe that leaves us with a final thought for you, the listener, to chew on. How do you navigate that gap between anecdote, tradition, and the need for solid scientific proof when you hear about popular health trends like ACV? What was the finding, or maybe the caution, from our deep dive today that really stuck with you? Something to think about. Until next time.